Today I want to talk about a very important topic that comes up all the time, one that patients are constantly searching for answers to and that other doctors are also trying to address. Why is it not allowed to prescribe Ozempic and Mounjaro to people who are not very overweight, who are only slightly overweight? In other words, our criteria are that we prescribe Mounjaro and Ozempic only to people whose body mass index is over 30. And for others who have not reached this level, we do not appoint. And so patients come to doctors and the doctor says, no, I can't prescribe it. And it's good that, and the patient asks why. And the doctor says, I don't know, it's not supposed to be like that. Or at best, he will say the risk outweighs the benefit. And on this full stop, this is the end of the conversation. Because in principle, very little. Guidelines, very few explanations even for doctors why this is not possible. And pharmaceutical companies don't say that either. Well, let me break it all down into pieces then. As a professional in metabolic chaos, I can explain this to you all. Now, it just seems like his belly is a little bigger. So Ozempic helped him, he lost 20 kilograms, and this other person has less to lose, he only needs to lose 5 kilograms. Or maybe 10. So why wait? Why wait? Should we wait until he gets like that, or should we just go ahead and give him Ozempic right away to fix the person immediately? Well, that sounds reasonable, but let's figure out what's actually happening. Now imagine this person who is actually obese. His body mass index is over 30, and his metabolism is already so disrupted, working so incorrectly, that it's a disease in itself. Should he really stay in that condition? Obesity is actually a major health risk for a person, and in that case, any means are justified. You can inject whatever is needed, take whatever is needed, practically anything, and even surgically remove part of the stomach. And then it becomes justified, because the risks are truly enormous, while the risk from Ozempic itself isn't actually that great. That's how it turns out. So what happens then? Yes, these people really do consume a lot. Overeating a huge amount, most often of calories. Of course, they need to block that. That intake needs to be stopped. And then it seems like everything starts to get better. But it doesn't really improve drastically to a normal state. What actually happens is that these obese people usually lose weight down to slightly overweight, and that's about it. In other words, they never actually become fit. If you've noticed, yes, they do lose up to 20% of their body weight, but that's it. They still end up chubby. And it seems to you, yeah, he lost weight. He used to be really overweight. He lost 20 kilograms after all. So how hard can it be to lose 5 kilos? I'll just drop them quickly myself. I'll get rid of this little belly. But here it's actually a different scenario. If a person isn't obese at all, if they still don't have any chronic diseases, their body, most often, I'm not saying everyone, is in a completely different state. On the contrary, they're not getting enough food. Yes, you're underfeeding yourself. Most often, these are simply undernourished people. And it turns out that with all these yo-yo diets, losing weight, gaining it back, losing it again, gaining it again, he spent his whole life fighting to be fit. And what happened is that his body went into survival mode, his metabolism slowed down a lot, it became very slow, very economical. But since the body gets very few nutrients, appetite increases, it keeps asking, feed me, please, feed me. But you don't notice, you only look at the scale. And the body thinks the number of mitochondria in each cell decreases, energy drops, overall activity drops. In other words, the body really goes into an energy-saving mode. This is to protect you, of course. It's so you don't end up harming yourself. In other words, the body is very smart. The only way it tries to get through to you is by increasing your appetite, so you'll feed it. And since you're getting weaker and everything, your metabolism has slowed down, it's doing what it can to protect you. So it senses that it's weaker, but it wants to be stronger. Every organism wants to be stronger. And it builds up these tissues around you. This is your protection, your defense. It's like your armor. And what will happen if, on top of that, you give your poor, undernourished body You go and hit it with Ozempic or Mounjaro, your appetite will decrease. But that was the only signal your body had that it wasn't getting enough nutrition. So the body goes silent. It can't give you any indication that it's still lacking something. It lowers your metabolism even more, of course. Your tissues become even more starved because you've reduced your appetite and started eating even less. What you weren't eating before, now you're eating even less. Physical activity decreases, even mitochondria start to decrease, and the body begins to save on absolutely everything. And then, when it doesn't have enough and needs to survive, it starts to consume itself from the inside, eating away at fat, muscles, bones, hair, teeth, and even your brain. But on the scale, you see victory. You think, oh, so it's working now, I'm going to be fit. But this is always short term. That is, you reach a certain state where you think you're fit. But the bill comes much later. For a short time, you see, oh, this is it. But you still need to tweak a little more. There's still a bit of fat on the sides, right? You need to lose another 2 kilograms. And you start cutting back even more, and your body is already starting to protest. Your body simply doesn't know what to do with you anymore, with this kind of approach. And if you keep living like this for a long time, what kind of bill will you get? Aging accelerates, physically you become weaker, your brain activity decreases, your weight hits a plateau. Despite Ozempic, your body is fighting. Your body is fighting for your life. Remember that. It doesn't ignore your wishes, it's fighting for your life. And then sarcopenia sets in. That is, your bones deteriorate, your muscles waste away. You don't even notice it. The bill comes due in 5 to 10 years. You'll see it later. Not now. And the most interesting thing is you'll never reach that shape, fit. Yes, you'll see in the mirror, oh, I'm getting better. And it seems like the less you weigh, the better and better it is, but that's not true. You can't understand what's happening. Or maybe you can't. It's like your weight stays the same, but you're getting weaker and turning into jelly. And still, those little rolls on your stomach that you wanted to get rid of, they're still there. They don't go anywhere. The cellulite doesn't go anywhere either. And you keep thinking, what should I do? Maybe I should push it even further. But that only works up to a certain point. Or Ozempic just stops working, and then you rebound, gain weight, and end up even weaker, looking older and worse than before you started taking all these medications. No, don't you think that's the case? I'm saying everyone will die and you'll still be overweight. There is a way out, there is a solution. But what is that solution? The solution is that you need to come to an agreement with your body. In other words, you need to tune this system, let it eat, let your body eat you. Hug your body and say, listen, thank you. Even though I've mistreated you my whole life, you're still with me, you still haven't fallen ill, you're still protecting me in every way. Even when my mind is switched off. Really, for that alone, you just need to say thank you. Accept yourself. You're already beautiful. You're beautiful in any form you take. Honestly, I'm telling you, there's nothing shameful about it, not even a little roll of fat. And when you start accepting yourself, when you start working with your body, when you start nourishing your body, boosting your metabolism, improving your neuromuscular transmission, and rewiring systems in the nervous system. In other words, you start living in this body, you start working with it, you give to this body. Everything you want, everything it wants, and then it starts working for you. You move forward as two partners, not as two enemies. Do you understand? So yes, you need to calm your body down. Tell it, I'm not a crazy person anymore. I'll feed you, we have plenty of food, there's no need to stockpile. We'll build together, not separately. And then your body will follow you, I promise you, truly. And these are simple mechanisms that, for some reason, very few people actually know about. Well, then you'll ask a perfectly reasonable question. But what about the stars? The stars, they're so beautiful, they're so fit. And they took Ozempic. So why am I any worse than a star? You're not any worse than a star. You might even be better than a star. Or maybe just the same, right? So Serena Williams took Ozempic, and here's what she got. Let me explain, okay? First, we don't know. What kind of protocol did the stars follow, right? Maybe they only had one injection at all. Maybe 3. I mean, it's clear they didn't take it their whole lives, right? Second, in our circumstances, in our economy, a celebrity can't just casually say that they're taking something, eating something, smoking something, or buying something somewhere. That would already be considered advertising, right? You know about marketing. And accordingly, if a celebrity wasn't paid for it, why would they say it? But if they were paid, then they can say whatever they want, right? Well, that's correct, isn't it? They can advertise anything at all. Look at Cindy Crawford. She advertised Coca-Cola, even though she probably never drank Coca-Cola. So who benefits from this? Celebrities don't talk about this. It's just the tabloids saying that maybe celebrities took Ozempic. The only ones who benefit from this are the pharmaceutical companies. And pharmaceutical companies can commission any articles they want about who took what, and they benefit from it. It's just logical, really. I'm not saying that they actually did this. It's just like finding the culprit in a room. And thirdly, yes, if celebrities did take these drugs, some of them openly say, yes, I took it, but they don't hide the fact that with the drug, they had an entire team of dietitians, physiotherapists, personal trainers, and personal doctors, each with their own specialization, who carefully guided them from point A to point B. So they didn't just stick with Ozempic and end up in great shape. They had a whole protocol, a special protocol created just for them, and they don't hide this. And you want to get the same results with this very injection. But this is impossible. It works, right? Well, you get it already, right? Well, what's the conclusion? I want to say, Ozempic, Manjaro, these are good drugs. That is, they should be accepted in principle. Reasonable, but not for everyone. That is, they, like any medicine, are not indicated for absolutely everyone. Universal. That's the very first important thing. Secondly, they can be a really good and effective tool, a truly helpful assistant to initially start the entire process, but certainly not a complete or comprehensive program. And they should be used as an aid, not as a replacement for everything. That's logical too, and even pharmaceutical companies don't deny it. And fourth, it should be very individualized because everyone is in a different situation. As I said about mitochondria and all that, there are a lot of nuances. So this should be used under the supervision of a very experienced clinician who actually knows about it, not just someone who heard something from a pharmaceutical company. And fourth, even if you use this drug, whether it's for someone who is very obese or someone who just wants to improve their physical condition or fitness, it needs to be done very precisely in terms of timing and protocol. That is, how to start on it, how to continue on Ozempic, and how to stop it. So in other words, it's not for life, right? Otherwise, it won't work or it will work against you. So, a medication can't replace everything else. And you understand that. But for those who want to be beautiful, who want to be fit, who strive to be healthier, wishing everyone the best and good luck.